Daniel had always believed that if he was going to make a terrible financial decision, it might as well be an interesting one. That was how he found himself standing inside docking ring 12, staring at a decommissioned alien spacecraft that looked less like scrap metal and more like something that had once been worshipped. The broker had called it obsolete. Daniel suspected that meant terrifyingly advanced but politically inconvenient. The hull curved in smooth, organic arcs, as if it had grown rather than been built. Veins of faint silver traced along its surface, dull and dormant. A small placard flickered beside the access ramp, bioreactive core, offline, royal signature required. Royal signature, Daniel muttered. Sure. I'll just grab one from my toolbox. He transferred the credits anyway. An hour later, he stood alone inside the ship's main corridor. The air carried a metallic sweetness, like rain on hot circuitry. His boots echoed too loudly. Human ships hummed. This one felt like it was holding its breath. All right, he said, clapping his hands together. Let's see what I just bought. He activated his portable interface and sent a cautious pulse of power into the primary grid. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the walls responded. Light rippled outward in thin, luminous lines, crawling along the curved surfaces like waking nerves. The corridor brightened gradually, not harshly, more like a creature opening its eyes. Daniel froze. Okay, he whispered. That's new. His scanner pinged. Energy reading detected. Internal, shielded. Internal, he repeated. Internal how? The signal originated deep within the ship's lower deck, behind what appeared to be a seamless bulkhead. He followed the faint glow down a spiraling passageway that subtly adjusted its curvature as he walked. He chose not to think too hard about that. When he reached the source, he found no visible door, just a smooth wall. Open sesame? He tried nothing. He pressed his palm against the surface out of mild desperation. The wall dissolved, not slid, not split. Dissolved, retracting in layered, petal-like segments to reveal a chamber bathed in pale blue light. At its center stood a vertical stasis capsule. Inside was a woman. Daniel blinked once, twice. Well, he said carefully, that's not scrap metal. She looked human at first glance. Her features were delicate, her skin luminous in the soft glow. Dark hair drifted weightlessly around her shoulders within the chamber's suspension field. But her ears, long, elegant, gently arched upward, marked her as unmistakably alien. He stepped closer, scanning for signs of life. The capsule's interface shimmered with symbols he couldn't read, though his translator implant struggled to interpret them. Status, stasis stable. Subject, LY error, royal designation. Royal designation, he echoed. Of course, because why wouldn't I accidentally buy royalty? The capsule chimed. Daniel leaned back. Don't do that. The blue light shifted to gold. The fluid field drained with a soft hiss. The woman's eyes opened. They were sharp and luminous, focusing instantly. She inhaled calmly, as though waking from a short nap rather than suspended exile. The capsule split open in two curved halves. She stepped forward. Daniel raised both hands. Hi, before you assume anything dramatic, I'd like to clarify that I thought this ship was empty. She studied him in silence. Her gaze traveled from his worn jacket to the wrench clipped at his belt. Then she spoke. The language was melodic and unfamiliar, but his implant processed it quickly. Where, she said coolly, is my executioner? Daniel blinked. Not here, definitely not me. I can barely execute a meal plan. Her eyes narrowed slightly. You are not Imperial, she observed. I am many things, Daniel replied. Imperial is not one of them, mostly underpaid. She stepped out of the capsule fully, posture straight despite whatever centuries she might have slept. The walls pulsed faintly brighter at her presence. This vessel, she said, glancing around, was hidden. Apparently not hidden well enough, Daniel muttered. It was listed between damaged cargo hauler and possibly cursed mining rig. She looked at him again, and for a moment something like confusion flickered across her face. You purchased it. Yes, for what purpose? I was hoping to resell parts, maybe fix the engines. Definitely not awaken a royal alien who thinks I'm her executioner. Silence stretched between them. Then, unexpectedly, she exhaled through her nose, a subtle sound that might have been the beginning of a laugh. You are either very foolish, she said, or very brave. I'm leaning toward foolish, Daniel admitted. She walked past him, placing her palm against the curved wall. The silver veins brightened instantly beneath her touch. A low hum vibrated through the floor. The ship was responding to her. Daniel swallowed. That doesn't look obsolete. It was never obsolete, she said quietly. It was erased. The lights intensified, flowing outward from where she stood. Systems flickered online across his interface. Navigation, defense matrices, encrypted communication channels. Daniel's console beeped frantically. Incoming scan detected. External. He hurried to the nearest viewport. Outside the docking ring, small patrol drones shifted direction, their sensors angling toward his newly awakened ship. "Please tell me that's normal," he said. "It is not," she replied. He glanced at her. "You wouldn't happen to want to explain why your apparently not obsolete royal spaceship just lit up like a festival lantern?" She met his gaze steadily. "I was betrayed," she said, "by my own court." A pause. "Of course you were," Daniel sighed. "Why couldn't you just be hiding from tax collectors?" The patrol drones began moving closer. The alien woman straightened, her long ears catching the light as the ship's hum deepened around them. "I believe," she said calmly, "your purchase has placed you in considerable danger." Daniel stared at the growing cluster of drones outside. "Good," he muttered. "I was worried this week would be boring." The patrol drones did not knock. They formed a tightening ring around the docking bay, their metallic shells reflecting the faint starlight beyond the orbital junkyard. Daniel watched them through the viewport and calculated very quickly that he preferred scrap metal to incoming weapons fire. "Those look official," he said, "and expensive, which means they probably shoot first and invoice later." Lysera stood at the center of the corridor, one hand resting lightly against the curved wall. The ship pulsed beneath her touch, brighter now, almost eager. "They are scanning for royal biosignatures," she said. "My awakening triggered a dormant beacon." "Dormant beacon," Daniel repeated. "I hate dormant anything." A sharp ping echoed through his console. "Dock authority override requested." "Please tell me that doesn't mean they can just open the door," he muttered. "They can attempt," Lysera replied calmly. Attempt was apparently enough. The outer hatch groaned as magnetic clamps engaged from the outside. One of the drones extended a cutting array. Daniel swore under his breath. "Okay, new plan, we leave." Lysera tilted her head slightly. "The engines are offline." "For obsolete scrap, it's glowing a lot," Daniel shot back. "Can you roil it?" She did not answer immediately. Instead, she closed her eyes. The ship responded before she spoke. The luminous veins along the walls brightened and converged toward the lower decks. A deep vibration rolled through the hull, low and resonant, like a heartbeat remembered after centuries. Energy readings on Daniel's console spiked violently. "That doesn't look safe," he said. "It is not safe for them," Lysera replied. The cutting array outside sparked against the hull and then abruptly failed. One by one, the drone's lights flickered erratically. Daniel stared at the display. "Did you just politely tell them to stop?" "I reminded the vessel who it belongs to," she said. The drones disengaged from the hatch, drifting back slightly, but not retreating. "They will call reinforcements," she added. "Of course they will, because why solve a problem with 3 drones when you can solve it with 30? The deck beneath them shifted subtly. Daniel grabbed a railing. "Please tell me that's the engines and not the ship having a panic attack." "The core is awakening," Lysera said. "It requires a command." Daniel gestured dramatically toward the ceiling. "You have the ears, I assume that's you." She shot him a brief look, sharp, assessing, but there was the faintest hint of amusement there. Lysera stepped toward the central chamber. The walls parted ahead of her, forming a circular command nexus that Daniel was fairly certain had not existed 10 minutes ago. "This ship is rearranging itself," he said. "That feels personal." "It is bioreactive," she replied. "It was grown to respond to my lineage." "Well," Daniel muttered, following her, "I hope it also responds to my desire not to explode." The chamber brightened as she approached its center. A column of light rose around her, scanning her form. Symbols flared in the air, ancient and intricate. Daniel's implant struggled to keep up. Royal confirmation accepted. The hum intensified. Outside, more ships were arriving, sleek angular interceptors sliding into formation around the docking ring. "Time is limited," Lysera said. Daniel leaned over a secondary console. "Engines show charge building. I don't recognize half of these systems. One of them is labeled Fold Initiation. That sounds dramatic." "It is," she said. "Is it the kind of dramatic that bends space?" "Yes. Great, I've always wanted to bend space."